Man, what a shame. All these awesome decorations that just don't do anything. What is this? It's time for some more testing. This change is coming with patch 1.5, an enormous patch which the developers have been working on for quite a while. It is coming alongside enabling DLC content on existing saves. This is what we needed from day one, and we are now going to have it all the way through the rest of the season pass, so it is great to see that. People are also supposed to board the cruise ship faster, agents are a little bit weaker to traps, and there are a couple other quality of life changes, such as the Sword in the Stone loot item got a little bit of a fix, so they looked at a wide number of bugs and issues that people were having. Really happy to see the developers continuing to give the care to this game. We are here today to test the decorations and see how impactful this change really is. I did a video on the decorations on the old patch before, and long story short, they were having no noticeable impact on the performance of your minions at all. We have 4 different types of decorations in the game. So we have purely cosmetic ones here, then we also have decorations with the symbol of a stat and a plus sign next to it, which I assume means minions are supposed to be regenerating that stat if they are within that decoration's radius. Then there are decorations that will improve a specific stat's restore rate, and ones that will slow the drain of a particular stat. So respectively here, ones to improve minions' working jobs and ones to help out minions who are trying to use services to regenerate their stats. We've got tests lined up for all of these except for cosmetics. Yeah, they look good. And I know the patch notes say that only a single decoration can impact an item at a time, but I am not taking the devs' word for anything, and we are going to be going through all the nuances of testing that I can think of. First up, Dragon Trigay here is going to show us the benchmark for working this item. He's a little sleepy, he hasn't quite woken up yet, but let's see what he's got. There's our benchmark. We operated the item for 20 seconds on fast forward here, losing 20 smarts and 30 morale. Alright, coming over here, we have the exact same item that is adjacent to both a data processor and a dot matrix printer. So these are supposed to slow the drain of both smarts and morale. The item is only going to be impacted by one. We are going to see how it picks that one and how impactful both of these decor items are. The most important thing is going to be finding the item that will slow down the morale drain, because that drains faster while working this particular item, and that becomes the bottleneck for the minions here, especially because worker minions cannot have their morale enhanced beyond 50, whereas smarts they can have improved. There we go, he worked the item for the exact same amount of time. We see here that the smarts were not drained as significantly as the morale. Because morale is the bottleneck, that's why he still only operated the item for the same amount of time. But it means that the data processor was the decor item that was impacting here, and so the conversion is that it was making him drain smarts 20% slower than without this item. Alright, take the data processor away. Next stage of the testing. Only the dot matrix printer as a decor item running on it this time, so we are going to see how much this can extend the actual operating time of the item. Omar's work shift extended to 24 seconds here, so again showing a 20% improvement in, well, a 20% slow of the stat drain, meaning a 20% improvement in the worker efficiency, etc., etc. So the same between the dot matrix printer and the data processor. That's about in line with what I was hoping these would be able to do. I was not expecting them to like blow your socks off improvements, but 20% is definitely meaningful. If you get these operating across your entire base, you're going to see a large improvement, but it still doesn't overshadow some of like the big ticket upgrades that you can research otherwise in the game. Being able to bring the minion stats up to 100 is a much better improvement than putting out these decor items, but these are extremely cheap, space efficient, and they get the job done. You just want to make sure that you are using the right decor items for the bottleneck stats of the different jobs. Okay, now I want to see if decor items of different room types can impact minions. So here we have set a tiny space for infirmary because they have this incredible setup of decor items that they also unlock usually earlier than the other rooms for getting their own designated decor items. And so I'm curious if being able to set up these kind of rooms for just the decorations to supply like critical job areas is actually effective, or if the minions can only be impacted, or if the the job items can only be impacted by decor items of the same room type. I hope that makes sense the way I'm saying it. Aya here is in range of the air conditioning unit from the infirmary. Let's see how much that helps her while organizing these schemes. It works! Yes! Okay, so the decor item does not care what room type it is compared to the items that is impacting. It still extended her shift by 4 to 5 seconds, but basically the same as what the control room decor items were doing. But this opens up a lot of potential of being able to bring in some really powerful decor items from different rooms in case you are missing them in the designated room where you are having the jobs worked. And I have just verified that while an item can only be impacted by a single decoration at a time, the decorations can impact multiple items at a time. They've said that they're going to improve the quote-unquote messaging for what decorations are impacting what items. Right now, the only system they're using is shading in items green if they are in the radius of a decoration. Hopefully what we end up getting is an extra line down here that just says like decoration impact, and then it explicitly says which decoration is impacting the item. And even better if it told us the explicit effect as well, but we'll see exactly what we get. If you are in a serious pinch for space, then you can build your items around the decorations so that you're not having to spam out decorations. You don't have to worry about putting a decoration for every single item. You can just build hubs of the items around the decorations that you want to use. Now we're going to look at decorations that improve stat restore here in the barracks. Herman is going to give us our baseline. 30 seconds and his morale is topped up, so these luxury beds are restoring 1 stat per second without any decorations around. Now, we've already seen that multiple decorations don't change the effect or stack effects on a single item, but I still have this just set up from my previous testing, so we're going to use this ultimate luxury bed here, surrounded by all of the space heaters and water coolers for maximum comfort. Okay, I ran the test a few times with the different beds, but the result is that with decorations, the luxury beds, instead of replenishing 1 morale per second, they replenish 1.2 morale per second. That 20% coming in, looking like it is fairly standard across the different decorations. We're back here in the control room to test out the final decoration type, which I think is the most interesting, depicting the stat symbol and then a plus sign. I think this means it is supposed to cause a regenerating effect of that stat. We're here to see what impact it has on the workers operating the Intel generating machine here, and then we have a secondary test for this that we're going to jump to right after that. All right, I think it is doing what I was expecting, in that it is applying a regenerating effect to minions operating these items. It's just that while they're operating the item, they're still losing the stat faster than it is regenerating, but it was actually more effective than the designated decorations for slowing loss of morale. So its regenerating effect is more powerful. The breakdown is that with the decoration just to slow the drain of morale, the minions lost 1.25 morale per second operating this item. With this item here, allowing their stat to regenerate at the same time they were working the item, their morale drains at 1.15 morale per second. So the difference is subtle, but the bottom line is that this item is superior. Now, if characters are just walking around this decoration, like he walked all the way through its aura, we saw no change in his morale. So it could be that it takes a while for the effect to kick in. It could be that it only applies to minions operating or using items, not passing by just in the general vicinity. This brings us to the infirmary waiting room, something that I have seen a couple comments talking about and that I thought was a very clever idea, setting up several of these decorations around a set of chairs so that minions would come, wait in the chairs, and keep their stats topped up while they were waiting to pick up a job. I do not have real high hopes of this working out, partly because in the late game it is not very effective because a large control room like this, every single one of these chairs is considered a low priority job for one of your minions to operate, and they will only sit in the chairs are an even lower priority of a place where the minions will go when they are idle. So your worker minions are basically always going to just fill in spaces here in the control room rather than taking these seats over here around these awesome stat boosting items. For the sake of the test, we can force the items to use the chairs, though, with my plans take priority here out of Zalika. We'll see if we get anything that we can go off of. There are a couple potential hiccups here, but I'm going to get a bunch of minions in here before I talk about them. Okay, so things have been kind of crazy around here. I tried to set it up, a bunch of minions came to congregate, but now they are starting to dissipate in turn. They're being pulled away from sitting in the chairs to other jobs, allowing other minions to come sit in the chairs. They were all coming in with fully topped up stats, so I wasn't really able to see if the restoring items were having anything. I was checking them all as they came in. Then I tried executing a minion so that I had a body bag around to drain their morale a little bit to see if that would be countered by the regenerating effect of the different items. But the minions that I was watching who had the morale drain effect applied to them left shortly thereafter, so my results are mostly negative, but technically inconclusive. I really don't think that this kind of waiting room situation is your optimum build for using the decorations. I think that placing the decorations within the job spaces and the service areas is the way to go. Use as few of them as possible. Try and get them to impact as many other items as possible to be as space efficient as you can. Make sure that you are still leaving openings for your minions to have clear paths of travel so that you're not just completely blocking up an entire lane with the decorations here. That's why I have the gap here and then placed the, what are these? The dish of the day boards. So I could have put another one right here, but that would have kind of completely blocked off this line from allowing minions to walk back and forth, which I do want them to have as open a path of travel as possible. And so I just paid the extra $100, that is nothing compared to what you have in your vault, to be able to space it out and give my minions more freedom in terms of their pathing. For my final test here, I want to see if we can figure out how an item figures out which decor item is going to have impact its minions if there are multiple to choose from. And I am curious if it happens in the order that items are built. So what I've done here is I've built both the data processor and the dot matrix printer next to both of these items, but I did them in opposite orders. So this item got the data processor first, this item got the dot matrix printer first, and then I built the counterpart on either one. So I'm going to see if that is the determining factor, if it is whatever is built last, or if it's what's built first, and then that kind of fills the slot for the item. Let's find out. Okay, so this item is being impacted by the data processor, which was the decor item I built next to it first. And over here we are getting the benefit of the dot matrix printer, so it confirms my suspicion that when you build a decor item by other items, that then immediately fills the slot of the whatever decor item impact this item is going to allow, and whatever decor items you then build around it later will have no impact. This is going to be important to know for players who want their layers to look visually appeasing. They're going to have to be careful about the build order that you choose for decorations. You want to build the decorations that impact the bottleneck stats for the different workstations first, and then you can fill in the rest of the decorations however you like after that. Like if you enjoyed the video, comment on which decorations you enjoy using the most, and subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. Thank you guys for watching, and have a good one.